Well, good morning. This is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. I'm really glad you could join me today out here in the vegetable garden. It's a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania. And, today I wanted to share with you some tips and ideas on how you can build a garden trellis out of fence T-posts. So thanks for joining me today. Follow me along and I'm going to show you where I'm going to be building this garden trellis out of T-posts. So I'm going to be building this on the end of one of my 4-foot by 32-foot raised garden beds. In fact, it's going to be at the very end of that one there on the right. I actually had some arugula planting here that I planted, and it started to bolt, and so I thought I'm going to pull the arugula out and build a trellis here on the end so that I can either grow some beans or cucumbers up this trellis. So some of the things you're going to need to build this trellis is, a hand maul, small sledgehammer, to help drive the T-posts in, and then also this is my log splitting maul, but I'll use the side of it like this to hammer the T-post in, and then also some 17 gauge wire or light duty wire, and then a pair of wire cutters, and also a short torpedo level. Now these T-posts that I'm going to be using here, these are 6 foot long. I had gotten these from a yard sale from somebody, and so these are really handy to use around the garden for building trellises. And so, these are also available in 5-foot lengths, I think, or 4 foot. And so let me grab my short torpedo level and we'll start installing these T-posts. So I also have this roll of fence section that I had around a fence years ago, and so I use this around my garden for, to cover some of my plants, but I also can use this for my trellises. And so this is a 36-inch roll. And what I'm going to be doing then is cutting about a 6-foot piece of this off the roll. And then once I install these 2 T-posts, I'm going to just wire it to the T-posts. And so it'll be a nice, simple, easy, inexpensive way to build a trellis for your vegetable garden. So I have this underground irrigation piping, sticking out through the end of my raised bed, and so, these are 24 inches apart, and so I'm trying to decide, do I put the T-posts on the inside of these or the outside? And I opted I'm going to put them along the inside of this piping, and then the fencing will just overhang each T-post about 6 inches. So I'm going to take the T-post and my level and my short maul and start installing these. So I grab my short torpedo level and I'm going to hold this flat against the end of the raised bed, and then so I want to try to drive these in as plumb as possible, and then I'm going to take my short hand maul and get it started. And just kind of watch the level as you pound it in. And you just have to adjust it back or forth as you go along. And so get both of your posts started. And then I'm going to grab once I get these in a little bit more, I'm going to stand on top of my ladder and use my big sledgehammer. So let me flip this around, and then we'll get this started in. So right now these both are pretty plumb. I'm going to take my big sledgehammer and then start hitting that in once I climb up my ladder. So I'm going to get my larger sledgehammer and use the side and just pound it in. And so that allows it to be pretty secure. And then just check it again with your level. Make sure it's pretty plumb. Doesn't have to be perfect, you know, but everything seems to work better when you work with things that are level and plumb. So what I'm going to do next is get my measuring tape here, and we'll measure the height of these T-posts here, because I'm going to then cut a piece of that 3-foot wire section. And so I'm going to allow this to go up at about a foot longer above the T-post. So I'm going to hold my tape a foot above the T-post and then measure down to the soil. And I want my wire to go, you know, it's going to touch the soil there. So I have a piece, I'm going to cut a piece that's 5 foot 6 inches off my 36-inch roll of wire. So I'm going to take my roll of wire here and unroll it and then cut me a piece of wire. And I'm just going to lay my garden fork down here to support one edge. And so I'm going to go ahead and using my wire cutters, cut me a piece of wire that's 5 foot 6 inches long. So now that I have my piece of wire cut for my trellis, I'm going to go ahead and install this on my 6-foot T-post. And then also I have some of this wire here that I'm going to use to wire the fence to the T-post. And you might want to put 3 or 4 pieces on each side. But you want to center the wire the best you can on your T-post. I have these pipe sections at the bottom that I have to work around. But anyhow, I have about 4 equal fence spaces here on both sides of my T-post. So it looks pretty centered. And so I'm going to just take my wire here and wrap it around the fence and the T-post. You know, and this wire is 17 gauge, so it's nice and light, it's easy to twist. You don't need a pair of pliers or anything. And so go ahead and attach, you know, 3 or 4 wire twisties along the T-post here. So I ended up attaching like 4 pieces of wire to hold the fence onto the T-post. And so, you know, I love this type of trellis. It's maintenance free. I like the color too. You know, it's kind of like a hunter green. And this fencing is a plastic coated, you know, so, you know, you have a maintenance free, inexpensive trellis. You know, these T-posts are probably $5 a piece, somewhere around there, and then I had the fence section around. So but like I said, I did get these at a yard sale, a whole pile of them for like, I don't know, 10 bucks or maybe a little bit less. And then so my wire piece here overhangs the top about 12 inches. I'm either going to grow cucumbers or beans up this. I haven't made my mind up it yet, but probably I'm going to be direct sowing some cucumbers here, because I already planted some yellow beans in another section and also some of those yard-long Asian beans. So my guess is I'm going to be direct sowing these some cucumbers here. So anyhow, let me get the camera and then we'll take a closer look at this trellis. So again, I just drove in the T-posts on both sides for the inside of the piping there. And then you can see in the back here I attach the wire to the T-post. And then it overhangs the top of the T-post about a foot. I may end up having to support that with something maybe in the future, but for most part it's going to hold a lot. And so it's really fun building these trellises out in the garden. 1, 2, 3, cut. So anyhow, I just want to thank you for joining me today out here, and I hope this maybe gave you some tips or ideas on how you can build a garden trellis out of your fence T-posts. And if you have any questions or comments about this video, feel free to leave them in the section below. And also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so you could receive future videos. So anyhow, I just want to thank you for joining me today out here in the vegetable garden, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.